Hi and welcome to this episode of TurboShed, where today we are going to be reviewing the OG gas filming with the Lexus and also fitting 8 of these nice 800cc injectors ready for lots of boost.
More power.
More power.
Firstly, welcome to our 1,000 or so new subscribers that have joined us in the last week or so after the OG gas video. So hello, we hope you like the technical content of what we're doing and the fact that we are here at the end of Storm Dennis outside in the freezing cold doing this on a gravel driveway. This is how we work. We don't have big workshops, we don't have a 2-post lift or anything else, and me and Leon do all this on an absolute budget. So we hope you appreciate this is something different to some of the stuff on YouTube, which is overproduced and there's 5 people doing the editing and they've got all the fancy gear and everything. Yeah, we've got none of that. No, we've got a camera, a microphone,
a tripod that's about a decade old,
and a turbo V8 Lexus
and a
that we built
30-year-old turd.
So it's different. Anyway, welcome. We hope you enjoy the technical content and we'll hope you'll continue to join us on this journey of tuning, braking, fixing and making more powerful as we go along.
I'm braking it again.
Yeah. So a couple of things that came out of the OG gas you'll have seen. Obviously the car is set up as a drift car, and drift cars aren't very good at 0 to 60. And there was, I don't know, a bunch of stuff in the comments. Yes, if I spent half a day setting it up as a 0 to 60 drag car, we could do a lot better than that, but the suspension's too hard, I had the tyre pressures too hard, and what you didn't see on the video was that every time we set it off, all it did was leave 2 black lines all the way down the road because it had no traction.
Yeah, I was watching behind it and I think we left a good 100 metres straight of just black lines. I was like, that's not going to be fast.
It was not a power issue, it was a traction issue. And the other thing is that you'll have also noticed that I had to change into third. It does 57 miles an hour in second gear as it's set up at the moment, and that change into third is a slow change, and that probably cost us a load of time as well. If we'd have had more time, I could have upped the rev limit a bit so it would have done 60 in second. I could have let the tyre pressures down, I could have changed the rear suspension settings. But you know, what you saw was what we did, and that's the way it is. The car's made to go sideways at 80 miles an hour. It's not built as a drag car. But anyway, so that's that. People got hung up about the weight of it. We don't know, it's plated 2,200. I think that's the maximum gross vehicle weight as opposed to the curb weight. I don't know, we're not anoraks. We don't sit there at home looking at the searching the internet for how much does my car weigh.
We just know it's heavy.
We got no idea.
We just know it's heavy.
All we do is tune it and make power. That's all we're interested in. We're not chasing statistics with this at all. This is our fun project for ourselves on a weekend. Obviously meeting Jamie, he's a sound guy. Never met anybody so enthusiastic. He does a great job of the editing, and we hope his channel continues to go onwards and upwards. He's a great guy to meet. We had an excellent day. We were with him for about 5 hours, which he edited down to that 20 minutes. There's a lot of stuff that we did that you didn't see. We'll keep that quiet.
Yeah, we'll keep that one quiet.
But it was great. It was a great day. We really enjoyed it. But anyway,
on to cheap Chinese injectors that we got for 70 quid per injector. Oh no, it was 70 quid.
70 quid for the set.
70 quid for the set, sorry. 70 quid for 8 injectors. Cheap Chinese, which is what you saw as flow match, which is what you saw that out of like 36 injectors we got 16 that actually worked.
Yes, but they're still cheap.
They're still cheaper than Deutschworks.
In the interest of doing this on a budget, you can see our video about flow matching the injectors, and today we've decided that we should put them in because that will allow us to go up a lot more in power. At the moment we are injector limited. We've got the fuel pressure up. When we're running the injectors we've got it 95% duty at peak. That's it, that's as far as we can go. So we're going to put these big injectors in, and that will allow us to turn the turbo boost up basically until the compressor chokes or the engine explodes, or both those things.
We're going to be either engine or turbo limited next, which is always a good place to be because then you put a bigger turbo on it.
Yep, these are well, they're claimed 850cc. We can flow them at 90% at 800cc. They are Corolla injectors, so they use the 1ZZ connector. And obviously we've got 1UZ connectors on these, so although they're physically the same size, they'll go into the same fuel rails. All we need to do is change all 8 plugs and connectors, reprogram the Haltech for the new flow matching, and fire it up, and hopefully it works. So,
and then turn the boost switch all the way up to 30 and then hope.
£30 a boost, here we come.
We've got too much power already for the traction, we can't be putting more in it.
Oh yes we can. Oh yes we can. So, bonnet up, let's get the injectors out. It's a pretty easy job to get the injectors out. The first job, we just take off the strut brace, which gives us access to the top of the engine. We can then take off the intake pipe that runs from the intercooler to the throttle body, and then 4 bolts and the idle pipe, the throttle body's off. That gives us access to the fuel rails now. So first job, we can undo the electrical connectors, the cam sensor connector at the front, and then the 4 injector connectors that run along the side. That's easy enough. We've now got clear access to get the 2 nuts off that hold the fuel rail down to the intake manifold. That's all there is. You just give the fuel rail a wriggle and the injectors will pop out of the rubber seals, and we can take that onto the bench ready to swap the injectors over. While Leon gets on swapping the injectors, I can swap the connectors over on the car. So we just cut the old ones off because the pins are different, put the rubber seals over the cables, we can then use wire strippers to bare back a few millimetres at the end of each wire. And then using the crimping tool, we can crimp on the new connectors that came with our 1ZZ. Here's the second crimp going into place. It's a pretty easy job with a nice pair of crimping pliers. We can then slot those pins into the grey plastic connector housing that you see here. And then there's the retaining clip that goes in the end of the connector there to stop the pins pushing out when we put them onto the injectors. That's it, only takes a couple of minutes per connector to do this, and it makes a very nice job. While I do the other 8 connectors, Leon's here on the bench. Now these are the Nippon Denso type injectors, so they just push into the fuel rail. So we just pull our old RX-8 ones out. We give it a quick spray with some WD-40 to help the new O-rings go in, and then we can push the new injectors home. They're the same height, so the fit and everything else will be just right. You can see the numbers on the injectors. They're the ID that we gave them all when we flow matched them, because later on we need to know which injector has gone into which cylinder so we can set up the Haltech. That's it, that rail's done. Quite a simple job to put it all back together again. You just get the injectors lined up with the rubbers in the inlet manifold and push everything home. As the saying goes, reassembly is the reversal of removal. So we just tighten up the 2 nuts that hold the fuel rail down to the inlet manifold here. can then clip on our 4 new connectors that we put on earlier. Here's the final connector going onto cylinder number 7, because this is the odd numbered side. We just connect up the fuel feed and return lines. This side's done. The other side is simply a repeat of this one. Once we've done that, we can plug the Haltech back in, because obviously you always unplug an ECU when you're doing any electrical work on the car. It's very easy to fry them. And then we can stick some fuel pressure in and make sure we've got no fuel leaks. Leon turns the key and does that. I have a look in the engine bay. There's the gauge showing we've got fuel pressure and it's not dropping. So I think we're all good. We can now continue to do the final reassembly. So next job, the plenum goes back on. We can then refit the intake pipe that runs from the intercooler to the throttle body. And finally, we finish off with the strut brace. Now we've done all the mechanical work, we need to sort out the electrics. So we plug the laptop into the Haltech, here's the screen, and if we go to the settings and we go to the fuel tab, there's a little box there that says per injector setup, and this allows us to set the flow for each individual injector because we're running full sequential. On the left hand menu here, injection system, you can see that we've got injectors. If we expand that out, it gives us injector 1 to 8. If we expand that tree out, one of the parameters is flow rate. Now as standard, this is set up at 240cc, that's the default value, which is obviously wrong for what we're doing, so we need to change that. If we go to the spreadsheet that we created when we flow matched the injectors, cylinder number 1 has injector number 7, and injector number 7 flows 840cc. So we simply put 840 in here, and that's it. We've matched that injector to that cylinder. Cylinder number 2, we do the same thing. We're using injector number 2 in cylinder number 2. If we scroll across to that, we can see the value of 834cc. So back to the Haltech software, we put 834 into this box, and then we just repeat this for the rest of the cylinders, and we have every injector matched to each of the cylinders it's been used in. Well, there we are. We've had those injectors sat around for about 3 months now since we flow matched them, 2 months, whatever it was. So we're glad they're finally in the car. So all we're going to do, you see that we've mapped them per injector, which we've got the option to do in the Haltech. And all we're going to do now is we're going to run it and do a load of pulls and make sure that the air fuels are correct up to where we know we've been running, which is up to 20-22 psi. If all that's okay, we'll start pushing it on a bit further, and it might be time to do one of 2 things, which is either get it to the drag strip or get it on the dyno, or both, because the car really is at the point where it's impossible to map on the road.
Doesn't have enough traction, none at all.
No, and you need to do 4th gear pulls, and 4th gear pulls are a bit naughty. So we don't do those.
Like 120 mile an hour.
Yes, we don't do those. We can only do those on the track or a dyno. So join us next time when we will be
doing something.
We'll be doing something, and it'll probably involve turning the boost up well past where we've ever been before.
And hoping.
Which is unknown territory. But anyway, 800cc injectors in a V8 turbo. They'll pull, those injectors are capable of well over 1,000 horsepower, so I think we're going to be turbo limited now.
I think so.
Let's turn it up.
Turn it up more.
Thank you for watching. We hope you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe. Check out OG Gast as well. Say Jamie does great videos on there with all sorts of different cars. And we'll be back soon. Thank you, everyone.